And as they roar into action, I'm joined by John Norman for this Group 5. Welcome, John. Thanks for coming in.
Great to be here. Thank you.
So how do you fit into all this world?
Well, I drove these cars back in the day. The car that I drove, number 58, the green Alfa, started last. I ran some of the original 2.5 races back in the day, raced the car through SCCA in the 70s, put it away, did some other stuff, started vintage racing it in the 2000, and have just sold it to Billy Taylor. But this was a great series. We had a good time, a lot of close racing, factory participation, and just a good time doing it.
Where are you based? Where are you from?
We're right here. I had shops in Berkeley. I live in Oakland. And I drove the first race at this track in 1968.
Did you really? So tell me about Sears Point back then. What was the feeling?
It was basically the track, and then there was a little barn over where turn 11 was, and that was it, and a little bit of paddock. And it was in October of 1968, the opening race, SCCA regional and 4-hour enduro.
And what did you drive?
I was driving a C-modified car called the Chevway, which was a Chevy engined special, front engine special, built by a friend of mine, Dave Selway, in the enduro. Unfortunately, we had a suspension failure at about 2 hours and didn't finish. But it was great being part of the inaugural race here.
Yeah, that is pretty special to have you here on board to tell us about that, because I know that Sears Point went through quite a few different ownerships and ups and downs, as all racetracks do. How about this for a race, though? Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Three-way racing through turn 1 and up the hill. That's the 88. That's the BMW from 1967. John Murray at the wheel of that one.
Yeah, Bill. I've raced against him a lot in vintage racing. So Steve Link, Tim Brecht, other names there, and Jensen Button, the name picks out. Anthony Ramici. Several of these, are friends and competitors.
Yep, and the car you just saw there that we just mentioned was originally raced by Robert Rolfe in B Sedans in 71 and 72 at events in Virginia, Senair, Lime Rock, Brainerd. And so each and every one of these cars, and shout if you see something that you want to discuss. That Porsche getting very wide there, but just getting back into line, but they're pushing on.
Yeah, well, it looks like the 510s sort of got the field covered right now. Well, hopefully the BMW can make a move. The first Alpha's Jensen Button, and he's back in 8th place right now.
Yeah, now that Jensen Button is one of Jeffrey O'Neill's cars, I believe.
Yes.
And I've got a feeling he raced, well, something similar, because he did the endurance race in Monterey a few months ago.
Yeah,
and
he was
in an Alfa there.
At the reunion.
Yeah. And so I don't think it was the same car,
okay.
but he has driven an Alfa.
See, the BMW is now taking the lead.
There you go.
Yeah.
But Jensen's getting an eyeful of it, that's for sure. He's got a Testarossa he's also running around in a Ferrari. And obviously he's running his own Type C Jaguar as well that he owns.
Right.
But he's getting a chance, and some of the owners giving a chance for Jensen to try their cars out.
It's good to see that car running well, actually, because our company built his engine.
Ah, right. Okay.
For Bruce. For Jeff.
For Jeff
Yeah.
O'Neill, yeah.
But there's Bruce O'Neill. The 96 911 that's back, driven by Ed Mitsuishi, was actually raced by a driver named Bruce O'Neill back in the day. I got him confused. So.
Well, that car that Jensen's running is the first of 20 1300 GTAs built, and first owned by Auto Delta, owned and raced in 68 and 69 by Carlo Zuccoli teams?
Yeah.
Okay. In Italy. So there you go.
Well, it's close, but Murray and the BMW seems to be holding them off.
Just about, though. I mean, it's pretty close, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, the top three, nothing between them, and then you've got this little battle, 4th, 5th, 6th.
Yeah.
Elsinore Carey was in here earlier. He's in 6th at the moment. That Porsche, the number 81.
81 made a move
Carey
on
has
Steve Link in the
making up some
49
moves.
car. The orange BMW, driven by Tim Brecht, was part of a team that ran in the early 70s through the 80s that I had a lot of good races with from Southern California, Hyde Park.
Well, obviously you've had a fair pick of cars over the years. What's special to you that you've run?
I started with an Alfa Romeo Giulietta.
Yep.
Moved to the GTA and then the GTV. I did Formula Atlantic, both amateur and professional, in the late 70s. We finished second at the runoffs in 79 in Formula Atlantic. And in those years, in the late 70s, Formula Atlantic was probably the class to be if you were an up-and-coming racer. There were fellas who went on to be Formula One, IndyCar stars. Even raced against Gilles Villeneuve, K.K. Rosberg, Bobby Rahal. In those days, if I could make the top 10, I thought I was doing okay.
And I would have thought it would be thrilled just to be on the same grid
On
as
the
these
same
guys.
course.
I'm sure people are
Yes.
feeling that about Jensen this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you know,
Yeah.
it's not often you get to say, oh yeah, I raced against a world champion once.
Right. He's pulling out a little lead there. Murray is in the, or no, Miley is. Yeah, that's right. He'd taken past back Murray.
Stuart Milne is leading the way at the moment in the 18, and John Murray and Hurwitz. Elsinore doing a really good job in the 81 Porsche coming through. Jensen currently in 7th at the moment, just ahead of Tim Brecht, as you mentioned. And Rail Burnett in 9th and Dave Nicholas in 10th.
But the cars are built to a fairly standard set of rules. So it allows close competition. And that's always been the fun part about the class.
So, given that you were racing back in the late 60s, how did the sort of what I would call wave of Japanese cars come to the States? Obviously imported over here to the West Coast, but there was a very much an interest in the Japanese wanting to flood the market.
Right, coming to the market.
The energy crisis helped them too.
And they started in the mid-60s with roadsters, the Fair Lady and the 2000. And Datsun, they knew performance sold, and they really supported the Datsun races very, very well.
Well, because I'm guessing that at first, a bit like we are in Europe, but I would have thought there would be a bit of snobbery in terms of you guys were all about muscle cars and power to the ground and, you know, drag racing and how much are you getting from it. And these cars obviously weren't high-powered cars, but they were reliable.
No, but
they were fun to drive.
There was a lot of interest in the small bore cars over here. You know, MGs, Austin Healey's, Triumphs, Alfa Romeo, and the Datsun Roadster was a good fit.
And I presume probably easier to modify, go racing with from stock. Yeah.
Well, from stock, but then again, the factory got involved making.
Somebody had it off.
Making performance parts.
Yeah.
And then providing them to the racers.
Well, and there's no better people than the Japanese to do performance parts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they've spread out a little bit.
Yeah, but some good little pockets of racing. Look at that three-way battle just at the back of this group.
Right.
There's an Alfa coming through.
Turn 1, that's an Alfa raced by a good friend of mine, Dave Burns.
Yep.
Who I saw here this weekend. I have not seen him in probably 30 years.
Oh.
And the car has been sitting. It was restored by Anthony and Santos Ramici from Southern California.
Yeah, it's since I've been coming over here, I've been amazed at just how big the race community of vintage is here in California. And
this has been a good class since sedan racing started in 1971. we had A, B, C, and C, and D sedan. A sedan being Camaros, Mustangs, Trans Am.
Yeah,
B
and so you
sedan,
ran with
B
Trans
sedan
Am,
was
yeah.
basically the 2-liter class. It's always been a very strong class, a very competitive class, and I had a lot of good times for many years.
Yeah, and let's just remind people that back in the day, on the heydays of Trans Am and sedan racing, there'd be 70,000 people here to watch a weekend of racing here.
Oh, yeah. Probably 1971 was the top year. Datsun entered full-time with a supported team of Peter Brock with John Morton driving, and then Horst Queck with the Alfa Romeo team, and it came down to the last race. Whoever won that race won the championship, and Alfa won the race on the track, but was later disqualified for an oversized fuel tank, which was done as sort of an error by the fabricator. So,
right.
But that race at Laguna Seca in 1971 was terrific between Horst and John. They traded the lead. Spin out. Number 64.
64 going round.
At turn 6.
Yep. We've had a few spins today, which isn't always the case. That's the 68 white Datsun 510.
Okay, so 58, that's the Alfa that I raced.
Okay.
Basically owned it for 70 years. Or no, 50 years.
Wow.
So I just recently sold it.
Why did you sell it?
Oh, I kind of moved on. The class had changed, and I had another IMSA car that I thought I would race. So
there you go.
That's what I'm driving here.
So we're now watching the number 18. We've had that spinner. I don't know if he's got started again.
But Murray now back in the lead.
Let's see if he can get it going again as we take a look at the Datsun
and
racing.
Jensen has moved up to 4th.
Yep, Jensen Button making his way through. He's already had one win in his own car. And we're looking at number 18, the Datsun Racing 510 from 1972.
But this group this weekend has been highly promoted and organized by Dave Stone, who's out there racing. Dave has just been working his tail off to put this group together. He can be pretty proud of what.
Yeah, it's a year-round endeavor, isn't it? Really, you know, people say, "Oh, yeah, you show up for the weekend," but of course, it's nothing but that. It's a full year round. There's that 65 VW Bug. Cracking little car. I don't think, as the people's car, it was ever designed to go racing, but hey, it's got a storied history. And Herbie made it even more famous in the movies.
Right.
Famous 53.
In fact, I remember back in the day, there was a Volkswagen Beetle that the guy had put a Corvair engine in. It didn't do a whole lot, but it was an interesting engineering exercise.
Yeah, it also, just in the research, it's interesting to see how much here on the West Coast movies helped promote both racing and marques, particular cars, because there's a lot of cars that were used, not just here at Sonoma, but you know, used in movies and then made more famous, and that's how the rest of the world saw them.
They're all getting right.
Whoa, look at this. Well, they're not holding back, those three.
No.
They're having their own battle, and it's a good one. So, still John Murray leading the way in the 88. Ara Malkassane, is that the right way? Is that pronunciation? Malkassane? In the 66, he's just moved up to 2nd place. Hurwitz in 3rd place, and then Button, as you say, still there in 4th place in his Alfa. Well, Kari Alcindor did a great job of winding his way up the field. He's got up to 6th place. He's behind Tim Breck now in that Porsche.
But if you look at the difference between 1st and 4th, it's 1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
So that's a race kind of anyone could win here.
Yeah, it certainly is.
or
Yeah,
any of
there's
the
nothing in
top
between.
4.
Well, that's the 66 of Stephen Smith coming through.
Yeah, this is hard when you're lapping a car and someone biting at your tail.
Yeah, I know. He's
boy,
at the back, and they're trying to get through.
Bill just hung. John just hung on there.
Of course, he had a spin earlier on, did the 66, so he's trying to make his way up. And for now, he's holding off the leaders. It's still the BMW in the old gold, leading the way in the 88. But it's 1, 2, 3. It really is pretty darn close. Coming into 11 again. Chance maybe to outbrake here. But the 66 holding position. I think they're all waiting for a little bit of a straight to see if they can sort this all out. Maybe up the hill. But he's been pretty competitive, actually.
No.
Malkerson. I thought he was the lap car. No, he is leading.
He is leading,
My apologies.
Yeah. It was a little confusing there because the
scoreboard hadn't got up. So
the
he is leading. So we have
up,
a four-way battle, literally.
Yeah.
Jensen's now just joined this battle. Gets a button.
That's it all within a second.
Yeah. And now you can see it clearly from the drone.
And you have a BMW, a couple of Datsuns, and an Alfa. And that was always the mix.
Yeah.
You know.
And now we've got a really good charge to the front. 4 cars involved. Malkerson in the 66 does lead. And that's 72. Datsun. Taken many a victory in historic racing, both here and
looks
in
like
Monterey.
Jensen is doing well on the brakes. He kind of reels them in, braking for.
Battle for second.
Yeah.
Oh, still on.
Still on. It could be anyone's race.
And here comes Jensen. Oh, and he's pushing it. Rolling that Alfa. Putting it through its paces. Well, I hope he becomes a fixture here in American racing, because it's great to have a current world championship chasing, because he is racing in WEC, remember, as well as the last time
there
as a 2009 world champion. Round the outside at 11. Go on, Jensen.
On the outside. Oh, boy. You lose. You don't make that, you lose a little bit, you know.
So now a definite 4-way battle, and that's the checkered flag. It really was that close. He just holds them on. Malkerson with the win in the 5-10. But boy, was that nip and tuck. Jensen made a run at the end there. Just got a little sideways on the outside at 11.
The last lap move.
But, well, that had everything.
Yeah.
My apologies for thinking they were trying to get past the lap man. They weren't. And it was just a straight run to the line. Excellent stuff. Now, there's an interesting shot you don't often see from Sonoma.
Yeah.
So, checkered flag out there in our Group 5. John Norman alongside me. And great to have you here, and fascinating to hear that you were at the first event that Sonoma
Raceway, and I actually raced these cars 50 years ago.
There you go. Oh, wonderful. That sums it up, really.
Yeah, it's actually my 57th year racing this year. So
that is incredible.
Yeah.
Well, well done.
Still love it. Still love it.
I'm going to say, you are the real deal in that respect.
Yeah.
I think that epitomizes why people do this.
Yeah.
If you can do something for 50 years and still keep coming back to it, you must enjoy it. No question.
Of course, some people call it an addiction, too.
Yes, I can see that. Well, there are other addictions, but this is a pretty good one to have.
This is a pretty good one to have.
Yeah.
We love it. And the other thing, I love the people, the connection, all the friends we met all the years. We're still friends, still racing together. So it's a great professional, amateur. It's a great pastime. And the cars are fun, you know, so.
Well, that car has won twice at Monterey Reunion, and now is a winner here at Sonoma. And a well-earned winner, I may add, because he had to push that all the way to the end, because the BMW was going to take him to task, and he held on brilliantly. Well, thanks, John Norman,
Yeah.
coming in. Appreciate
Okay.
you. Feel free to come in and
Sure.
chat some more
Sure.
because
Well,
if you cover the whole spectrum. I love
Yeah.
it. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter what
I
cars
may
are
be
out
here
on the track.
tomorrow. We'll see.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
So well done to our top 3 in that particular Group 5 race. And just a confirmation then. Aaron McElhayson in the 510 takes victory over John Murray. Noah Hurwitz in 3rd place. And Jenson Button, a fast and furious 4th place in the Alfa. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with more from Sonoma after this.